I'd like to begin by setting the context for my remarks. I find it convenient to think of IT as covering three broad areas. The first are concerns about strategy, policy, and enterprise architecture. I've highlighted solution development and maintenance where my remarks will be directed. And then there is also ongoing support within enterprises and organizations for the IT operations. In the next slide, I want to talk a bit more about the scope of the IT solutions part. So it provides infrastructure and applications, as the first bullet indicates, and for all users at all levels within an organization, from senior managers to service desk personnel. The third bullet indicates where the inputs come from users, decision makers, and the frameworks that are established by enterprise architects in which solutions must reside. And my next to last bullet talks about the wide range of skills and competencies that are required, and I'll get to some more detail about that in a minute. And also concerned with ongoing maintenance, sustainment, and retirement of infrastructure and applications. So I'm going to focus today on planning and organizing IT projects. The measuring and controlling, I'm planning a newsletter, I say the accompanying, but we're a bit behind schedule. But I will be doing a newsletter that talks about measuring and controlling IT projects. And if there's interest, perhaps sometime in the future, I'll come back and talk more about that. A third element is communicating and coordinating, and the fourth is managing risk. I'll say a little bit about risk management at the end of this webinar, if time permits. Also have to do a plug for my book. These four topics are the way I have organized the book. Here's a reference to the book. There's a website that has some supporting material, and also my email address. I'm always available for questions, follow-up discussions, and so forth. So first, I want to talk about projects and programs and what characterizes a project that we need to plan and organize. Well, of course, we hope, some projects seem to drag on forever, but we hope it's a one-time effort with prescribed starting and ending dates. We determine the resources we need. Nowadays, most projects are done by teams, so we need to get the team members together. And when I say the schedule and budget are allocated, I mean we not only need 5 people for 6 months, but we need to determine how their time will be spent and how their effort will be allocated to the different activities that have to be accomplished. We would hope we have well-defined objectives so we know what we're trying to accomplish, and furthermore, to know if we have successfully finished what we set out to do. We need to identify the roles, that is, the kind of things that need to be done by people, what kind of responsibilities the various people will carry out, and what kind of authorities are delegated to various people. And the bottom point here, I point out that a program is an integrated set of projects. So a large endeavor may involve perhaps subcontractors, vendors, more than one internal team accomplishing a large endeavor. Well, it's a familiar story that I'm sure you're all familiar with. IT projects seem to cost more than we thought they would. Often they're later in delivery than we would have hoped, provide fewer features than expected, and perhaps have inadequate quality attributes. And I point out that IT projects are not the only kind of project that have these shortcomings. You know, we constantly read about various kind of projects that overrun budgets and so forth. But I say that's no excuse. We can do better than we tend to do. One of the first things we need is a project plan. And I've listed some of the elements that we might want to include in a project plan. And I'm not going to read that list to you. I think it's pretty straightforward. I will, a little bit later, be talking more about some of these elements that I've listed. When I talk about planning and I show lists like this, people's eyes sort of glaze over. And I want to point out that small, simple projects have small, simple plans, and conversely, large, complex projects have large, complex plans. So I say it's not a matter of what to leave out on a small project, but how to scale these elements appropriately to address the needs of the project. Why a documented project plan? You're probably all familiar with the, well, I don't really need to write it down. I've got it all right here in my head, and things are going well. So I've listed some reasons we might like to write down our plan. So first of all, if we start writing things down, perhaps the areas of uncertainty, the things we don't know, become more clear to us, and the kind of problems we might face become clearer. We'd like to document our assumptions and constraints. So an assumption is something that we assume, we take to be true, that will be true. We'll have the appropriate number of people and the right kind of facilities, and the requirements will be clear. If any of those assumptions are violated, then of course our plan is invalid as well. And it's important to document our assumptions and make them clear to everyone. This is the framework in which I am assuming I will be operating. A constraint is a condition that's imposed on us from the outside. So those 5 people for 6 months I mentioned, maybe that's what we have to do the job. Perhaps there are constraints on the hardware and software we will use, and so forth. When we can't fit our 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag, then we need to do some trade-off analysis, and if we have things written down, we can look at them and talk about them. And of course, when conditions change, we have a basis for looking at that, give us a basis for measuring and controlling as we go along, and we can communicate the plan to others if it's in a written form. Well, you've probably all heard these kind of responses to the question, where's the plan? And again, I don't think I have to read those to you. I'm sure you've probably all heard all of those and more. Maybe you've used some of them yourself. So these are my 10 considerations, and it's a long list, and I don't know if we'll get through all of these in the time available. I would I think I'd rather do a kind of a broad coverage rather than to dig deeply into any one of these topics so that you can see the scope of the way I approach things. First thing I want to cover is talking about the systems approach. So a system, as I point out, is a collection of components that exist in some kind of environment, maybe more than one, and